Hi everyone, today I'm excited to be here. We are going to learn about how to create a database in SQL Server. Creating a database in SQL Server is very simple. First, we can leverage on the graphical user interface to create our database, or we can use Transact SQL to create our database. Let's get into that. All right, so this is our interface. This depicts our server. Let's click on the plus sign to drop down the list. Now, our first folder is basically database and security and all that. But today we are going to be focusing on the first folder, which is database. Let's click to drop down the list. We have a system database and database snapshot. All right, these two folders means entirely something different. We did not create it, okay? It was generated by virtue of installing the SQL engine, okay? So what we are going to create is going to be the user database, all right? So to create a user database, right click on databases, then you see the new, select new database. It is that simple. So what is the name of your database? Example, the name of our database is Instagram. All right. So we just type Instagram, but keep note of these two files that are going to be created whilst I'm typing Instagram. All right. So two files are created, one with extension MDF and the other extension is LDF. So the first one, which is the MDF, is basically a user data file, and the second one is a transaction log file. For those DML and the DDL that we'll be writing, logs are generated, and these logs are also recorded and stored in this directory path that we have in here. And also the objects that we will be creating as users, those objects are also stored in the user data file that is also stored in this path. Okay, all we have to do now is to click on OK, and that's it. Our first user database is created. All right, let's quickly create our database using Transact SQL. All right, there are two main ways of creating that. Okay, so let's go with the very first and easy way of creating. How do we go about it? We use the create command, the data definition language SQL category known as create. So we use the keyword create, then the name of our database. So create database, then the name of our database. Let's name our database TikTok. Tick and talk. All right, then we go ahead and terminate it. All we have to do from here is to execute this command, all right, by clicking execute or F5 on your keyboard. That's it, and it says command completed successfully. So our database is created using our SQL syntax. So right away we see on the Object Explorer, unlike using the graphical user interface, we saw the database here. This time around, if you don't see it, just right click on database and refresh. If you refresh, then you see your user defined database created here. Okay, so initially we talked about two files that are being created. If you use the create TikTok create database command, those two files are still created and stored in default directory path. Okay, the two files, which is our log file, transaction log file, and the data file, they are still created and stored in a default directory path. But in the event that we want to specifically store those two files as our own customized directory path, then we have to create our database in an entirely different way, still using the Transact SQL. So let's go ahead and do that. We are still going to use the create database command. So we do create database, then we give our database name. This time around, let's call it Walmart. All right, then we are going to use some keywords. Okay, the on keyword, then we are going to open and close a parenthesis. Open, close a parenthesis, and in this parenthesis we are still going to pass some keywords. So the first keyword is going to be name, and this name is basically the logical name that we are giving our data file. So this first one is for the data file. All right, so you can give it any name. Okay, so it can be Walmart underscore data. Okay, with a comma, you can now pass the file name keyword. File name. All right, so the file name, what is expected in this command is to pass the directory where you want to store your data file. So beforehand, I created these two empty folders on my drive C. Yep. So this is going to store my user data file. I'll double click in and just copy and paste here. Then /, I'm going to give the stored file a name. Okay, so I can just type wall underscore data, and as I said, that file extension is MDF, and you are done. You can give a comma here. Then there are so many options for this particular Transact SQL format, but let's just go with the simple ones. So we go with a size. So an assumption of the file size. Okay, so let's just do 200 MB, and this can be a kilobit or gigabit, anyhow you presume it's gonna be. Now the next file that we are going to create is our log file. So we use the keyword log on. Then we go ahead, open and close a parenthesis, and we pass the same credentials here. So name, I can call it Walmart underscore log with a comma. Then file name is going to be the same thing. I created a file path for the log file too. I'll step back one, and here is it. I'll copy, paste it in here, and just give it a name. So wall underscore log dot LDF file extension. Then I'll go ahead and apply my comma. Then size, this is also going to be 200 MB, and that is it. All we have to do is to terminate and execute. All right, so then our file, our database is created. All right, so just as we did for TikTok, we come in here, right click and refresh. then we see Walmart. Thank you so much for joining me this time around. We will meet another time. All right? See you.